We're very pleased to have Hank Sullivan with us. He's a candidate for Forsyth County Board of Commissioners. Hank, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to having a discussion about what's going on in Forsyth County.
Well, you and I have been trying to get together for a while, and this is we've finally done it, and I'm looking forward to it. Appreciate the opportunity.
Well, for all the voters in Forsyth, give us a look at your background and what motivated you to run for District 1 on the Board of Commissioners.
Well, my background, how far do you want to go back?
As far as you feel comfortable.
All right. Well, maybe I'll give you a little bio of myself. I grew up in DeKalb County, Georgia, just on the east side of Atlanta, and went to grammar school, high school there. Attended Georgia Tech, graduated in '78 with a degree in civil engineering. From there, I worked at DOT for a couple of years until I decided that working for the government was probably not in my best future career, and went back and got an MBA, and I just decided that I was going to be a business owner, but I didn't know what kind of a business. But one thing led to another. After that, I ended up going to work for home builders and learning to build homes, and did that for several years. And then I tell people the last job I ever had was over March 31st, 1986. That was the last job I had, because that was the day I got fired from my job as a construction superintendent. But it really worked out well, and I'll tell people that anybody, if you ever get fired, you ever get laid off, look at it as an opportunity, because that turned out to be the best day of my life professionally, because it turned out I had just closed on a construction home to build a home for my wife and me around the corner from where we are right now. And so that home became a spec, and I built that home and sold it and closed it in about 6 months, and made twice of what I would have made all year long working for the man, as they say. And so that's the way my construction companies have started, and then worked with. I've always had partners ever since 1990, and built homes right here in Forsyth County. Built a lot of homes over in Polo Golf and Country Club during that time, and I've been through there, and they're still standing. So I think we did a good job.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of people that live over in our homes, and they recognize that they were homes that we built back in the '90s. And then since January 1st, 2000, we've had a custom home building and remodeling company, our Sullivan and Forbes building and remodeling, and our office is in Gainesville, although probably half of our business is here in Forsyth County. We do remodels and tear downs, rebuilds, a lot of them on Lake Lanier. God bless all those people that built those little shacks back in the 1950s and early 60s in and around Lake Lanier, because every one of them has had its time, and that's been a good career for us. So we've been doing that for the last 25 years. We've got great partners that my wife and I work with, and a great team of professionals that work with us as well. And so that's the career side of things. I would say that my political career actually began back in about 2000 or so. I picked up a book of speeches and writings of Abraham Lincoln, and I was enamored with the way that he wrote, and I went through the whole thing. It's about that thick or so. Went through the whole thing and just absorbed it all, and became keenly aware of what this country is really established to be. And then I wrote my own book. I wrote a book about it so that I could explain it to people uh, what this country is, what the Declaration of Independence really means, how that plays into the Constitution and the body of laws that we have, and that got me very interested in politics. Not that I wasn't interested before, but that got me really kind of keyed in to that, and so that experience of understanding what this country was going through during the Civil War from the perspective of Abraham Lincoln, the president at the time, I think has keenly informed my point of view on things that are, say, going on here in Forsyth County as well. And because I can't forget all that. It's like once you see it, you can't forget it. And once you understand it, I can't forget it either. So I've done a lot of writing. I wrote for about 2.5 years for our local paper up here, and and I still write. I have a Substack that I write, and I've got several hundred articles on my Substack. Over the past 2.5, maybe even 3 years, I suppose, blending into the geopolitical and national politics has been the what I've been noticing, what I've been seeing going on here in Forsyth County, and the way that our county commission has been operating and I believe not in the best interest of the public. And the more and more I hear people talking about the way that their lives are being, I don't know, the way that circumstances are making life here in Forsyth County. I've seen it keenly because I've been here for 40 years, and uh, it's 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 really important to me at this stage in life that I do something to try to help this community to realize and maintain its character for the next. I may not be here to see it in 20 years, but I just feel like it's important that seeing what's going on in the rest of the county south of here, I would like for kids that grew up in District 1 of Forsyth County, when they come home to see their mom and dad or bring their kids home to see grandma and grandpa, I want them to be able to find their homes.
Right.
And that's just really important to me. It's just one of those things that's motivating me, and I want to maintain the character of District One, which is the least developed area in Forsyth County, to the extent that anyone in the position of a county commissioner has that opportunity. How does
Well,
that?
well, that's pretty good. And as one former DeKalb County resident after another, I was raised in DeKalb myself. Um,
Okay.
I think DeKalb, I've used it here, I'm in Fayette County, and we've used DeKalb as an example of a county that used to be at the top of every positive metric and
Yes.
then just precipitously fell off a cliff and now is probably somewhere in the middle of the pack and probably on some of the more negative ones lower than the middle. And I think it's a good learning curve for people who are taking over a county, especially a county like Fayette in our day in the 80s, and Forsyth, what you're going through today, and looking at possible what did they do that could have changed their outcome had they made the right decisions. And I think y'all are confronting a lot of that now because you're a very rapidly growing county.
Yes, we are, and I don't want to see District One, which is I may have mentioned it, is the northwestern quadrant of Forsyth County. I don't want District One to end up like DeKalb County. I don't want it to end up in like the south part of Forsyth County. I don't want to end up like Gwinnett County. It doesn't need to end up a concrete jungle. It doesn't need to be overrun with house after house after house after house after house. The One of the things that I'm really keened into is mass clearing and grading. That to me has been the reason why everyone well, so many people are disenchanted with the way that development has gone here in Forsyth County. It is due to a particular technique of developing a subdivision that our county commission they're still allowing it, and I don't know why, but it's called mass clearing and grading. Now, as I said, I've been a builder now for 40 some odd years, maybe longer. I don't know. It's been a long time. And I used to build in the subdivisions, but mass clearing and grading was not anything that we ever encountered. When we were working with developers, they liked the treed lots.
Right.
They wanted to keep the trees on the lots, and the rules of development in this county and practically every other place I've ever built, they did not allow for a developer to go in and this simply clean out all the trees and then mass grade all of the pads for slab homes, pre-engineering the elevations of these homes so that they can maximize the number of homes that go into a development. But that's what goes on here in Forsyth County. That goes on a lot of places, and that's what the large vertically integrated developers want to do. That's how they maximize the return for their shareholders, and that's the model. Why our county commission still allows that, given the outrage, that the public outrage against so much development in this county, I don't know. It adds not only volume, but it also condenses the time frames of the build out of our county. So just imagine if they just allowed for the entire area to be mass cleared and graded, then you would build this out pretty quickly. You wouldn't have the infrastructure necessary to maintain you wouldn't have traffic infrastructure in place. It would be a madhouse up here. So why they have, well, I'll tell you why. Because they're not builders. They don't understand these things. They don't understand that yeah, it's funny, we have a tree ordinance, but in the tree ordinance, there's these big loopholes. It says, for example, in Res 3, it says you've got to keep all the trees. You have specimen trees, and the arborist is going to go out there and he's going to tell them what. But if in the determination of the county engineering department, they can't, that they have to mass grade in order to fulfill the plan that they've been given, then they have that opportunity to mass clear and grade. Well, wait a minute.
Of course, it becomes the de facto standard then.
Yeah. So why do we have a tree ordinance if you got this huge loophole that allows for all the trees to be taken down? That doesn't make any sense.
And there's nothing more depressing in a metropolitan Atlanta subdivision, a new one, where you ride down the street and you don't see a single tree in a yard in some of these subdivisions. I mean, it's just astounding.
Oh, it's incredible. It absolutely is incredible. I live in the oldest subdivision in Forsyth County, and we are actually up slope on Sawney Mountain. But looking at this side of the mountain from downtown Cumming, you'd never know that because you see all the trees. The way that they did development back in the late 1960s, the guy that put the roads in, all he did was clear out enough room to put the roads in, and all the lots here, they're anywhere from an acre and a half to, we have 2.5 acres, and some are even larger than that. And I understand that you really can't make an entire county out of 2.5 acre lots, but that it just shows you the difference in the mentality from those days to these days. On the other side of the mountain here, there is a development in there that is about the same elevation as ours. But on that side, they allowed mass clearing and grading. And they went into Sawney Mountain and they cut 40 feet into the mountain in order to create flat tabletop lots, and in order to get as many as they possibly can to get the highest yield in the closest homes. They took out every tree And it's funny it's funny, it's sad really, but I'm going to say it's funny because it is in the grand scheme of things. They had this tree ordinance with all these regulations and everything, but it says, well, but if you can't do that, then you have to plant some new trees. So if you go over here to this subdivision where they've gone house, 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 in the front yards, they go tree, 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 tree. So they have one like inch and a half caliper tree that is supposed to supplement the forest that used to, or replace the forest that used to be there. And it's just sad. And I'm a pilot. We have a small plane. I flew. My wife Wendy and I flew over that. I didn't know it until I flew over it. I looked down. I said, "Look what they've done to the mountain! Holy mackerel! Look what they've done!" And I'm flying over the rest of them. Well, they're all the same way. Every new subdivision that's going into this county is counting on some semblance of mass clearing and grading, and our development the development mentality here has got to change. And our county commission seems oblivious to it because maybe they just don't know. That's not the historically correct way to build a subdivision. Just look back at all of the subdivisions that were built back in the 90s, the 2000, 2010, and all. You're going to see that they're larger lots. They have to be, but they got trees. The trees are there. I could show you at my front yard here. You have trees here out the front yard of my house. See
Yeah.
all those trees there?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that that doesn't have to go away. The character of Forsyth County does not have to go away. We don't have to allow for developers to just go in there and take out all the trees and mass clear and grade. And if I have maybe if I'm successful here, maybe I can get the people behind me, and maybe we can change some of the regulations because literally, Steve, you change two sentences in the tree ordinance, all that goes away.
Right.
Every
Right.
bit of it.
Well, I know you as an avid political writer, your Substack and whatnot. You write a lot about governmental ethics and accountability at all levels of government. Um, where do you see Forsyth County in terms of your writings on ethics and accountability? Are there any issues in Forsyth?
Boy, hand me a softball. How about that?
Okay.
No, I appreciate it. Uh, Look, I've been watching this county commission now for going on 3 years very closely and paying attention to how they do business. And there is uh, there's a there's a method that I don't know. The human factor comes in here. It just seems like every time somebody gets into politics, and maybe I'll be the same way. I don't know. I don't think so. But anytime anybody gets into politics, and they say one thing, and then they get in there, and it's all different. Maybe this is an experiment to me to see if I'm going to change. Now I don't think I will, but who knows? So they get in there, and I know one of our county commissioners ran on, we don't need to make this Gwinnett County. Well, what have they done? They made it into Gwinnett County. That's what they're doing here. And they part of my Substack is to point out to people, how does this county work? How do these people operate in making their decisions? And it's really sad to watch how all of this comes together. So, all right, let's take the big one. And the big one right now is the Forsyth County new administration building out on Freedom Parkway. Now, Freedom Parkway is the location is outside of the county seat. Now, they bought this property back in 2021 with the idea of building the Forsyth County administration building on that property. Why no one knew until January the 18th, 2024, that the county commission cannot operate in an official capacity outside of the county seat. How that became, how they got that far into it to where they let a contract for 100, well, the whole thing was about 134 million, and I expect it's going to be a lot more than that. How they got that far before anyone said anything about it is beyond me. But I can tell you that if you look back at who owned the property before, and who how did all of that come about, and who was involved with the decision. And if you, I think this is really telling too. I'm not going to tell you I know the answer to it, but if you look at District 1, you'll see that it follows Georgia 400 until it goes up into that area, and then it crosses 400 and it catches that little area where the administration building on Freedom Parkway is. Well, something made them do that, and that's what I'm going to find out. One of the questions I'm going to have. So here it is. We're $134 million in there plus, and it's going to be opening up and someday very, very soon, and they still haven't solved the problem. Our county manager and our county attorney both knew it for at least 11 and a half months prior to the vote to let the contract. And it came out that night, the night of the vote, that my representative who I'm running against, Carrie Hill, learns about it. Actually, she learned about it that day. Laura Simonson says she's just learning about it right now during the meeting. Well, why did they keep that a secret? Well, no one will answer the question. So one of the things I'm going to do first when I get in there is I'm going to ask the question, why didn't you say anything? Now, I asked Carrie Hill in a meeting probably 2 months or so ago at the local Republican Party where she came to speak. I said, okay, you told us all that you learned about the inability of the county commission to both meet and gavel in officially and vote. You can't do that outside of the county seat according to the Georgia Constitution and the laws of Georgia. I said, who told you that day? And she said it was the county manager and the county attorney. Okay, but I also asked, well, why did they wait so long? Her answer to me just doesn't fly. She said, well, I can't get into their heads. Well, if I am in that same seat and they just now told me that, and we're supposed to vote on it that night, my next question is, why are you just now telling me that? Let me get into your head. But, nobody's asking any questions. Don't ask, don't tell. So something's going on there that the people need to know how and why this happened. So they still can't meet there. Right now, the old administration building, which was built 30 years ago, and I remember before it, I've been here for longer than that. The old administration building was built for $4.5 million. It's at 110 East Main Street, downtown Cumming, about 2 miles from here. The county commissioners were conservatives. They were conservative people. And they didn't just decide to build something. No, they put out a referendum, a bond referendum, to raise $4.5 million. As little as that seems like today, it was a lot back then, I'm sure. But $4.5 million, they let the people vote on it. And the people voted it down once, and then they had to raise it again, and they had to make their case to the people. Well, that's not what these people do. No, they decided they were going to build this administration building, and they started overtaxing people on their taxes every year. And they're taking that difference and they're putting it into a building fund. Take that difference, putting it into a building fund. So in the end, the night, I think it was January the 18th, 2024, when they decided to approve the contract, there were five commissioners on that were there, and five commissioners on the commission. Two of them voted no because they just found out that, wait a minute, we can't even operate out there. So three commissioners, that was Kerry Hill, that was Alfred John, the chairman, and there was Laura Simonson. Three people out of 270,000 people in the county decided to spend $134 million of money that they had overtaxed the people in order to build that a coffer of that amount of money. That's not the way that county government ought to work. When you're going to spend that kind of money, they ought to go just like they did back 30 years ago and ask the people. And if they had asked the people, Steve, maybe somebody out there would have known, hey, did you know that you can't operate, the county commission can't operate out there because it's not in the city limits? Maybe somebody would have said that, clued them in early enough to where they wouldn't have spent all that money preparing to vote to spend $114 million that night to build this building. It's just outrageous,
right?
The way that these people they're discounting that they're using other people's money, and they're not good stewards. Good stewards, in my opinion.
Well, you've labeled yourself as a conservative. What do you think conservatism means to local government in particular?
Well, I think number one, to the extent that it is possible, before you spend anything other than just normal operating expenses, you ask the people. You put it into a referendum, and I've recently told people that the way that I would encourage the county commission to operate is that we won't be doing any more raising money by overtaxing people and then deciding how we're going to spend it. No, we're going to, the way that I see that it's best working is that every one of these substantial infrastructure projects has to fly on its own merits. We put it before the people and let the people vote for it. And then the way we finance it, we don't just give our government a bunch of money because all they're going to do is build more government with it. No. This money is dedicated to infrastructure projects, and we put it up with a bond referendum in order to do that. Yes, you're going to pay interest on the bond, but you know what? When you've paid it, it's over. If you take that same money that you were going to spend on interest and you invest it in government, the expenses are just starting, because they're going to do things like build this Freedom Parkway boondoggle where our county manager has told us that, hey, when they first move in, they're going to move all these people in. It'll only be populated with half of its capacity. So they're building this thing to grow more government in. And then he says, and then when we fill this one up, we've got all this land next door because they were supposed to build a mental health facility over there. That's the way that they got everybody in line to support all this, because there was a lot of people that believed that was the best use of that property. Well, now that's gone out the window. They threw that out the night of the vote and disappointed a lot of people who were really their stakeholders in providing some mental health facilities here. No, we're not going to provide a service for the people in the county here. We're going to use that area to build even more and more and more government. Well, that's the last thing we need in Forsyth County, because having been here for 40 years, I remember what dealing with this government was like before the present administration building. And it was a completely different place to operate. As soon as they built that administration building, Steve, things started changing. Things started changing. The control mechanisms started being imported. And here's one of the things that was really remarkable about that time. You see, when they built the new administration, well, the existing administration building, they also started going outside of the community to bring in, professional planners in order to create. I call it. It's like they're trying to achieve nirvana here or something. They've got they're proposing their zoning areas so that they can create this perfect, I don't know, habitat. They think no, 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 no. I would take local people making local decisions about how to zone local property any day than taking people who graduated maybe from the highest world class urban planning institute and bringing them in here and letting people that are not residents of the county, who have never been invested in this county, try to tell people how we need to live here. I don't like that either.
Right.
It's a completely foreign. But that's what happened when they built the administration building that we presently have. It changed the character of our local government. And now with this one, oh my goodness, this isn't the same place that we moved into all those years or so ago. We still love it here. We're not going anywhere, but what I've just described is part and parcel of why I've decided to go ahead, throw my hat in the ring, and if I can get elected, then I believe I can make a positive impact on the way that this county government operates. And one of my slogans is to try to keep Forsyth County as we know it. I don't want it to get away from us. I don't want the development that just come in here and make this place an urban area. I don't want that. And I don't think anybody that's here wants that. There have been a lot of people, Steve, who moved in to Forsyth County after I did, and everyone has a right to be here. But I tell people in District 1, if I am elected, I am their representative. I am not representing anyone who might move here in the future. I'm not trying to provide for them. I'm trying to represent the people who are here in District 1. That is the sole reason why I'm doing it, to protect their interests. And that's the interests of the people who live here, the residents. It's also the interests of the businesses that are here. Forsyth County has a horrible reputation with businesses because the way that this county commission operates is that they will take and change zonings on existing businesses back, and so the businesses can't count on any permanency, and then they also want impact fees on, and they've levied impact fees on businesses. Look, anything that we can do to keep this government from absorbing more and more money and using it to build more and more government, I'm for. I'm not an anarchist. I believe that there is a role of government, but that role is to protect the interests of the people. And it's not to protect the interests of the politicians, and some of the people own businesses. In August, they enacted an ordinance that gives them the power to remove a grandfathered in status of a business's land use. What that means is you may have there are businesses been here longer than I've been alive. And this county commission thinks it's their purview to decide whether that business that's been here longer than any of them have been alive is properly located. And so they can pick on, according to this ordinance, they can pick on any particular land use that business might undertake that's not incorporated into the way it was when they were grandfathered in, and then they can change their zoning status. They can remove that grandfathered status. It's just wrong. It's absolutely wrong-headed to for and it makes businesses really afraid of moving into Forsyth County because that could happen to them. They move into an office, an industrial park, or whatever it might be, and all of a
Right.
sudden you have a different set of county commissioners, and they pull the rug out from underneath them. It's not good. It's
Well,
not good.
well, on that anxiety issue, I've been told that the relationship between the county government and the city of Cumming government has been on edge. What's your take on that? And what would you do if that is the case to make things better?
Well, I'll tell you how it didn't start here, but it certainly did surface during the last SPLOST referendum. So the county is really in charge of the special local option sales tax administration. They're in charge of that, but the way that the law is that they have to share the sales tax proceeds with municipalities in the county. Well, the only other municipality here is the city of Cumming, and so the county commission officially um, uh, proposed a breakdown of the SPLOST revenues to where the city was going to get X, the county would get Y, and they proposed that to the city. Well, the city took that and thought it was serious, and they agreed to it. They called a meeting and they agreed to it, sent it back to the county, and the county got right down to the last week and said, "Well, we don't agree to it.
Hmm.
Wait a minute. You proposed it to the city, and then they came back and reneged on it." And then what
Is,
they
is
did
that an
was
example? Is that an example, Hank, of the staff moving a proposal forward without really having that conversation with the elected officials, and then the elected officials get surprised, or how does that happen?
it was no surprise because what was proposed was exactly what had been talked about and was on all of the PowerPoint programs that were shared with the county and with the city. There were no surprises in
Okay.
there. This was a way to put the stress on the city so that the city they're going to lose $6 million there, and uh, in fact, they could lose more than that. But they took $6 million away with, and so the city then had to call another meeting, which means they had to advertise the meeting real quick, and they barely got in underneath the wire to be able to go in there and then go ahead and approve what had been submitted to them. But this is just all underhanded stuff. You don't wait like that till the very end and try to pull the rug out from underneath people. But that's how this county commission operates. They pull the rug out from underneath people, just like they pulled out the rug out underneath the people who were expecting a mental health facility to be built on the area that the county manager now is ready. He's ready to build more government over here. But no, that's just the way that these people operate, and it's not right. So now it was a little bit short-sighted on the part of the county commission because now they need the city to annex the property on Freedom Parkway so that they can then meet there and
Right.
not have to stay meeting at the existing facility. And so it's come right down to it. This thing's about to open, and they haven't resolved any of that. And guess what? More than half of the city is in District 1. District 1 is Carrie Hill's district. She represents more than half of the city of Cumming in this district. Do you think Carrie Hill has ever had a conversation with the mayor or the city council? You think she's ever picked up the phone and said, "Hey, we got to work a few things out here. Can we meet and maybe talk through?" No, they don't do that. Not at this county commission. They don't operate that way. But that is what I will do if I am elected to represent District One. I'm going to represent everyone in District One, and that includes everyone who lives within the city limits who is also in District One. Because part of what they removed from the mixture of infrastructure investments was an extension of Highway 20. Highway 20 comes in from the west and is just a constant traffic jam because they need a turning lane to be able to get people in it to turn down Castleberry, because there's probably 30-40% of the cars coming into downtown. They just want to get to Castleberry, but there's no other way to do that. Well, that 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 part, that's $3 million, $2 million, whatever it was going to cost to do that, that got removed. Well, Carrie Hill during the meeting, when asked about that, she says, "Well, that's a want and not a need." Oh, so all of the people coming out of District 1 going into town just trying to get to Georgia 400, they have wants and needs too, and they're just trying to get through town. But you just took away that turning lane so that all your people now have to sit in traffic because they just can't see themselves to work with the city. I will work with the city. I will work with the county. We will achieve equity here. We will talk about things, and we will make sure that the city, the people that live in District 1 in the city, we're having conversations. We're going to work things out, and we're going to be positive. We're just going to be cooperative and have these governments work together again, because they can't do it right now.
I've read about some of Forsyth County's growing pains, and I know there was recently a moratorium on multifamily housing that had become a hot topic there. How would you, if you had someone who is coming to Forsyth County interested in moving there, how would you describe the current state of Forsyth County?
The county commission they're almost a year into this moratorium, and it's not necessarily on multifamily. It's actually on any new proposed developments. They're not allowing the developers to come in and propose things. They're not allowing they are allowing whatever has been approved to be built, but they're not allowing any new proposals. The land is already zoned. And the problem here is that our county commission doesn't have a way out of this. They just keep re-upping the moratorium, but they don't have a way on the other side of the moratorium. They haven't done anything. So when the moratorium goes away, and it will have to go away because it's going to be nothing but lawsuit after lawsuit of developers going, "Wait a minute, you're just making this up now." So my answer to that is to deal with this particular brand of development that calls for mass clearing and grading, because that's if you look around here, they're all being done that way. Well, that makes more people move into the county. It makes the construction go faster. It means that the infrastructure can't keep up. To slow it down, even though we still have Res 3 zonings out there that would allow this, and Res 3 are the smaller lots. Res 2 are the medium-sized lots. They're allowing mass clearing and grading on Res 3. What I would do, we change the tree ordinance. We no longer allow that. And when that goes into effect, and developers, they may have a Res 3 property, but they can't mass clear and grade, which means that they can't get the density that they wanted. And in which case, then they will, if they're going to develop it, they're going to have larger lots. It's going to take longer for them to be absorbed, and that allows for the county to keep up with infrastructure. But that's not what they're going to do. I'll tell you why they're not going to do it, because it's my idea. That's the only reason. Well, look, I'm the only builder uh, that would be on the county commission. My degree is civil engineering, folks. I've been doing this a long time, and yeah, this is what you need to do in order to slow down development, so you don't have to sit there. You know, our county pays $275 an hour for attorneys to keep up with all the work of the county. Just imagine all the lawsuits if developers finally get fed up and they say that no, you're not acting in good faith here, and they start suing in order to keep their businesses solvent, and I don't blame them. Uh, that's what will happen. So the taxpayers will end up paying uh, $275 an hour for all these attorneys to defend all these lawsuits. It doesn't have to be that way. No, no, I am not for maintaining the moratorium beyond where we are right now, but we have to fix the tree ordinance. We have to slow down the construction. Construction's going to happen. Developments are going to happen, but we need it to be the right kind of development. So in 20 years from now, yes, your kids, your grandkids, they'll all be able to find your house when they come over for Thanksgiving. That's the key, and that's one of the big reasons why I'm doing this.
Well, one complaint that I have seen a lot on social media from Forsyth County residents is that the county is, at least this is what they're saying. Now, you let me know if you think this is not right or not. But they're saying that the county is a very large destination for H-1B visas for local jobs and local corporations in Forsyth County. Have you heard that? Is there any truth to that? And if it is, what would the county do with those businesses to help get domestic employment?
Oh, okay. I think we've got two different questions here. Number one, is that happening? I don't know that it is. Number two, yeah, any community does need a workforce, and so the problem that we have in Forsyth County is the same problem that everyone has in America, and that is a problem that we cannot solve here in Forsyth County. We can't just go in and start building apartments everywhere so that we'll have a workforce to come in here and work for the businesses. I'm very sorry, but I'm not for that, and I would never be for that. That's a bigger problem, and it's a problem that is a federal problem. And it also goes back into our financial system. It goes into how our money is created and who's in control of it and what do they want to do with it. Well, that's what President Trump has to work on. He has to be the one. You see, I'm of a generation where my dad went to work and my mom stayed home. So when I got home from school, mom was there. I wasn't a latchkey kid. Well, I was probably one of the last generations where anyone could say that. But so things have changed, and people can't afford the homes without more than one income. That's part of it. But we also didn't live in some of the homes that you see these days. So it's not a question that I'm equipped to really answer to the extent that I'm not going to sit here and say I have all the answers for this. No, no, this has gotten out of control, and it has to do with our financial system and the fact that what we really have is a wealth transfer system from the lower and middle class to a banking class, the corporate class, the upper class, and that's how our financial system actually works. Well, I can't change that. I can write about it, and I've done speaking engagements about it, but I have no control over that. So that I've got to leave to President Trump. I don't have any specific answers for that, but I'm not just going to compromise Forsyth County for the sake of trying to bring in low income housing into this area and depress property values. Just not going to do it.
And I'll give it one last question. The Georgia Highway 400, uh, the, just absolute traffic gridlock at certain times of the day. I'm sure you've got a lot of commuters who live in Forsyth County and go south. What impact does that congestion on that highway have on Forsyth County?
Well, I think it has the same effect that traffic congestion has in Los Angeles. It is unproductive time, and the traffic moves very slow. It takes a long time to get home, so it takes longer to get home to see your family, and the family time is important. So it's just it compromises the quality of life anywhere where you're standing in traffic, sitting in traffic. We have just as many problems just here in the county, not even counting Georgia 400, where people are sitting in traffic for the longest period of time. If you go from practically the county line over Pickens and Cherokee County line, and you've got to make it over to Georgia 400, don't even worry about Georgia 400 traffic. Just worry about just trying to get to Georgia 400 because of the lack of transportation facilities while they're building this big $134 million building out of the tax proceeds that where they overtax everybody. They could have taken the $134 million and they could have put it towards transportation, but they didn't. You know, it's a
Does that
complete,
impede your growth or the quality of your growth in any way, all that traffic congestion?
well, no. I would say no, they were moving in here regardless. And then they get here and then the traffic just gets worse and worse and worse. And they go, hey, we got bad traffic up here. Yeah, no fooling. No fooling. So it's a complete misallocation of priorities with the public funds that they have here, in my opinion. And when I am elected, I will work with the people to put political pressure on the commission to do the work of the people and not the work of the politicians and not the work of the government.
Now, you all run as a primary, right? So you run as a member of party.
Yes, I'm running as a Republican, and the primary is May the 19th, and there are three candidates that will be on the Republican ballot on May the 19th, and I'm one of them, and so if you want to help to uh, to preserve Forsyth County as you've known it, then you have one choice, and that's me, because that's my goal here, is to preserve what we have for the next generations, and not let it get away from us.
And
And I have to do that.
do you have a campaign website where people can find you?
I do. They can go to votehanksullivan.com. Very simple. Votehanksullivan.com. And if people are interested to know what's really going on with our county commission, they can go to my Substack. That's hanksullivan.substack.com. hanksullivan.substack.com. And as they used to say when they're handing out the papers on the corner, read all about it because it's all right there. And I've put a lot of effort into try to inform the people of this county of what's actually going on with their county government.
Well, Hank, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Good to get to know you and about your campaign. And you've got a lot of issues that you're running on. So I think the voters are going to warm up to what you're saying, and let's see how it goes.
Oh gosh, I appreciate it so much, Steve. I'm so glad we're able to get together this evening. I've been looking forward to it.
We'll see you next time.